Hello, Jack here. More Buzzword. This time, questions designed for kids in middle school. So we'll just run through these just for fun. As a reminder, with Buzzword, it simulates toss-ups found in Quiz Bowl competitions. So that means the clues are going to go from more obscure to more well-known. The sooner you buzz in and get it right, the more points you get. These are questions that were asked in real-life competitions starting in September of 2020. So the current events will be relevant to September of 2020. Let's get at it.
This phenomenon's sexual form is used by anglerfish to reproduce. Cuckoos use this phenomenon's brood form, tricking other
Yeah, so the anglerfish parasitism is actually the male anglerfish becomes attached to the female anglerfish and provides male gametes in order to continue reproduction, while the female anglerfish just kind of goes about its day. I think there's a fair amount of sexual dimorphism in anglerfish as well.
In Germanic languages, strong verbs form the past tense by changing these sounds. Two adjacent examples of these sounds can form a diphthong. In English, the peak of a syllable is almost always one of these.
I guessed wrong. I flipped the coin wrong there. The peak sound is almost always vowels? Oh yeah. 2, 4, oh, yeah. Yeah, you do sit on the vowels a lot more, don't you? In that second, I thought the consonants were a little more peak than vowels.
In a book named for this character, he clears the artist Pablo Pizarro of suspected theft. This resident of Rover Avenue is aided by Sally Kimball as he solves minor...
Oh. I hesitated there because I was trying to spell encyclopedia and it didn't look right. Encyclopedia.
The P53 gene is often mutated in this type of disease, which is classified as stage 4 if distance.
Stage 4. Stage 4 is cancer. Yeah, P53. I think that's the thing that they test for cancer.
One of this state's first two senators was John C. Fremont. A discovery on the bank of the American River.
Yeah, it's just California. Fremont, yeah. Yeah. Who was the other? I don't know if I know who the other initial senator of California was.
This author's first novel centers on Amory Blaine, a student at Princeton who this author based on himself. This man wrote the novel This Side of Paradise.
Okay. This Side of Paradise was the unfinished one? I think that one was unfinished before his death.
Pencil and paper ready.
Oh no, math.
Catalina needs to know the measure of the smallest angle of a right triangle that also includes a 57-degree angle.
57 minus 33. Yeah. That math I can do. It's just 90 minus 57. Ha! Take that, math.
This country's Huna Valley is in Gilgit-Baltistan, which comprises the northwestern part of Kashmir. This country lies on the western side of the Khyber Pass, which connects it to Afghanistan.
Okay. The Khmer region is basically between Pakistan and India, so I wanted some more clues that put it. I was pretty sure it was Pakistan, but I sat on it a little bit to get some more clues to solidify Pakistan.
For the Romans, this was the sacred month of Venus, while T.S. Eliot's poem
April is the cruelest month. If you're talking about months in T.S. Eliot, it's always going to be April.
This man used the alias Mrs. Silence Dogood to get published in a newspaper. He intrigued Europeans by wearing a coonskin hat during his stint as the first U.S. minister to France. For 10 points, name this first postmaster.
Yeah, it was Franklin. Mrs. Constance Dogood. Oh, it's such a good bad name. Good fake name.
Adding atoms of this element to benzene turns it into cyclohexane. Isotopes of this element include
cyclohexane. What? Oh, okay. How did they? Don't give me that one. Yeah, because the only elements that are in benzene and cyclohexane are carbon and hydrogen. So the only way you could convert benzene to cyclohexane is to add hydrogen.
This man created the metaphor of the ship of state. Prisoners chained to a wall experience reality as a series of shadows.
That's Plato's allegory of the cave. Yeah. Yeah, so the allegory of the cave is so the prisoners are chained and they don't see the real objects. They only see the shadows the objects create. So their entire world is assumed to be the shadow, and that's a metaphor for how we all experience life.
A politician from this country participated in the kitchen debate with Richard Nixon and gave the secret speech which denounced the Great Purge carried out in...
This is China? Oh, yeah. The kitchen cabinet. Yeah, Soviet Union makes a lot more sense there than China. Nixon did a lot of stuff with China.
The Ebro River empties into a region of this sea near the Balearic Islands. The Ligurian and Tyrrhenian seas...
Did I spell it right too? I think I spelled it right. Ha! The Mediterranean. Yeah, the Tyrian and the Ionian are the Ligurian. I think those are on the western side of Italy.
A villain in this film series, Jurgen the Brutal, dies after swallowing a berry. In a film in this series, Bethany discovers that Shelley, her avatar, is actually a man. Dwayne Johnson and Jack Black star in for 10 points.
Oh. Okay. I have not seen any of the new Jumanji movies, so I had no clue. Dies after swallowing a berry. That's weird. That's probably from the video game one, right? Yeah.
During this war, Commodore George Dewey easily destroyed much of the losing country's naval fleet. The Battle of San Juan Hill during...
Spanish American. Yeah, that's a better answer. San Juan Hill. Yeah, San Juan Hill was Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders invading Cuba. Yeah. I went a little early on that one.
This group of works opened the first Bayreuth Festival, where it was presented over 4 days. Götterdämmerung, which concludes this group of...
It's the ring cycle then? Götterdämmerung. It's the Twilight of the Gods. Then there's Das Rheingold and Siegfried, I think, are the ring cycle. The entirety of the ring cycle. By Wagner.
In a novel by this author, the clocks in Satis House display 20 minutes to 9. This author, who created Miss Havisham, wrote it was...
It's just Dickens. I just said Miss Havisham. That's Great Expectations.
The quotient of two of these expressions is called a rational function. The fundamental theorem of algebra concerns the roots of these expressions.
I mean, it's only that at middle school, the hardest thing they could ask about really is just polynomials, and they talk about polynomial expression, polynomial roots. So gotta be polynomials at that point.
This country's president, Juvenal Habyarimana, was assassinated in a missile-caused plane crash. That event signaled the start of the murder of over half of this country's Tutsi population.
The Hutsu, that's Sudan, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, it's gonna be Rwanda. Yeah. All right, dodged one there. I mean, there are Hutsus and Tutsis in Sudan, but the Rwandan genocide was more more what they're going to ask about there.
This fantasy series describes the circle of 6 signs, which is restored by a 7th son of a 7th son. The Drew children find a grail in its first novel,
True.
Over Sea, Under Stone. Will Stanton helps the Light to defeat the tidal force in, for 10 points, What Series by Susan Cooper?
I have no idea what this is at all. This isn't right. Dark is Rising. Nope, never even heard of that.
The CEO of this company is also the CEO of the mobile payment company Square, Jack Dorsey.
Oh, it's Apple. Oh, Twitter. I thought Apple had something to do with Square. They said Jack Dorsey right at the end there. They said Jack Dorsey right at the end. I should have pivoted there.
Characters on this show wear striped sailor suits while working at Scoops Ahoy.
Yeah, that's Steve and Robin. Yeah, Steve and Robin start working there in season 2 of Stranger Things. Robin played by Maya Hawke. And Steve. Oh, who's Steve's? God, who's the guy that plays Steve? I can't remember his name now. Yeah, I just don't got it. Just don't got it right now. Just don't have the name. I remember Montgomery Dacre for some reason, but not the guy who plays Steve. Yeah.
The change in this quantity equals the net work done on an object according to the work energy theorem. 1/2 times an object's mass times the object's velocity squared is a common formula for...
Yeah, velocity squared. Okay, yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah, that makes sense too.
This item of clothing is known as a dastar, a word borrowed from Persian into Punjabi. Observant members of the Khalsa have worn this item since the time of Guru Gobind Singh.
I feel like this kind of has to be the turbans at this point. Singh, so they're talking about Sikh. And part of Sikhism is for men to wear turbans.
After a farmer in this play proclaims God is dead, the disgusted Reverend Hale resigns from the court. This play...
Oh, it's got to be the Crucible. Of the court. Yeah, there's only one court in a play. That would be farmer. It's got to be the Crucible. Well, I guess Inherit the Wind has a court, but there wouldn't be a farmer testifying that, I don't think.
During this man's reign, Sir Thomas More, the author of Utopia, was executed. The Pope refused this king.
Yeah, so it's Henry VIII. Yeah, Thomas More. He was... he was like the second in command for a while. But then he got exiled to the Tower of London. I don't think he wrote Utopia there. I think he wrote it before. But he got exiled to the Tower of London and then eventually executed by Henry VIII. Because I think Thomas More was still faithful to the Vatican.
A reference frame is said to be non-inertial if it has a non-zero value for this quantity, which is measured in meters per second squared. Newton's
Yeah, meters per second squared has to be acceleration. It's the only thing that those SI units put together in that way could describe.
This body of water is home to the Sessi Islands, which are named for their large population of tsetse flies. This lake is the source of the White Nile.
Okay, yeah. So tsetse flies are endemic to Africa, so we're talking about an African lake, and then they just say the White Nile. And like at middle school level, any African lake is going to be Victoria.
In a real-time film in this genre, the nearly retired Will Kane is played by Gary Cooper. Italian films in this genre, nicknamed for spaghetti, often...
Okay. There's a real-time Western? Oh, that's super interesting. Oh, and this is Gary Cooper. Yeah, Gary Cooper is very much well known for Western films.
In one novel by this author, Philip Leroy plays a kissing game called 2 Minutes in the Closet with the title girl. This author also wrote books about the young troublemaker Farley Drexel Hatcher. For 10 points, what woman wrote Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, and the Fudge series?
Oh, why can't I can't remember her name. No, I don't think it's Cleary. Judy Blume. Yep, Judy Blume. Yep, that's the answer. Sure is the answer, and I just didn't have access to it. She was up there somewhere, it just didn't come out.
Pencil and paper ready. Tatiana needs to know the diameter of a circle whose area is 144 pi. She recalls the relationship between the diameter and the radius, and knows the area formula.
No, diameter. Oh yeah, I should have divided and then squared. Alright. Yeah, did that wrong.
A Manhattan street with this name is the location of the Stonewall Inn. A saint with this name is the patron saint of travelers. A boy with this first name owned stuffed animals.
Yeah, it's Christopher. Yes, patron saint of travelers. I remember that because of that scene in the terrible movie Crash that won Best Picture. Because there's a scene where somebody's hitching a ride and they laugh about the person who's given them a ride having a statue of Saint Christopher because they're the patron saint of travelers, and then I won't get into it, but things go bad from there, as you might not expect. Yeah. Always a fan of the questions where it's multiple clues about the same thing that come from disparate categories.
This kind of natural disaster destroyed the town of Akrotiri on the island of Thera around 1500 BC. Pliny the Elder died during another...
Okay, this is a volcano. Pliny the Elder died. I think he died with Vesuvius? I think he died with one of the eruptions of Vesuvius. Yeah, I think it was Vesuvius.
One of these works, named for Pope Marcellus, was written by Giovanni da Palestrina. One of these works, by Joseph Haydn, is named for Lord Nelson and begins with a Kyrie. For 10 points, name these settings of the Eucharistic liturgy, such as Ludwig van Beethoven's Missa Solemnis.
I'm really not sure what's going on. Like a hymn? You want a hymn? Okay, a mass. Yeah, that was that was something I probably would never have got.
This program has an Easter egg called T-Rex Runner.
Oh, Chrome. I needed to put Chrome in there. Oh, yeah, of course it's Chrome. Oh, I just think of the browser as Google itself these days. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Had the knowledge, I just didn't put down what I needed to put down.
This athlete won an Academy Award for a short film he wrote titled...
Yeah, that's Kobe. Kobe won an Oscar for Dear Basketball, which was the movie itself was basically a short film that took the dialogue he wrote as his going away, like a going away story or statement that he published in the papers. Then he won an Oscar. He's one of the few professional athletes to win an Oscar.
An intent to kidnap this goddess resulted in Pirithous being eternally trapped in the chair of forgetfulness. Since this goddess ate some pomegranate seeds offered...
No, not Demeter. Yeah, alright. Save that one. Because Demeter is Persephone's mother. And Persephone ate the pomegranate seeds, so she has to spend 6 months in hell with Hades and 6 months on Earth, and that's why we have seasons.
Stars are classified by their value of this physical quantity in the Harvard scheme. This quantity is highest in stars of spectral type O, whose atmospheres thus have ionized hydrogen. For 10 points, name this quantity whose value at the sun's surface is about 5,800 Kelvin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
This man said in an 1867 interview that politics is the art of the possible. This head of government worked with Education Minister Adalbert Falk to target Catholicism in the Kulturkampf. A new empire under Wilhelm I was formed by, for 10 points, what Prussian Iron Chancellor of Germany?
Oh. I think this is Kaiser Wilhelm? Yeah, Bismarck. Yeah, that makes so much more sense. Yeah, that's a much better answer.
This state's highest point, Harney Peak, was renamed Black Elk Peak in 2016. That mountain is in the Black Hills, which... I
think the Black Hills are almost entirely within South Dakota, so we'll take that one.
This value for two numbers can be found with the Euclidean algorithm. Two numbers are called relatively prime if this value for them is 1. Dividing the product of two numbers by their least common multiple gives...
Denominator. Oh, greatest common factor. Okay. That's that math stuff that you learn in middle school and then you figure out doesn't actually mean much going forward.
A portrait by this artist depicts one of his doctors, the art patron Paul Gaucher. In another painting, he depicted the aftermath of a fight with Paul Gauguin, in which this man harmed himself. For 10 points, name this Dutch artist of self-portrait with bandaged ear.
Yeah, it is Van Gogh. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot the doctor, because there's like the anatomy list of Dr. Nicholas Tulp. And there's the Gross Clinic. There's so many doctors in paintings. I forgot Gaucher was Van Gogh.
In a January 2020 speech, this leader proposed constitutional amendments that allowed him to fire federal judges and to serve additional terms. This man named Mikhail Mishustin as his prime minister following the resignation of Dmitry Medvedev.
No, it's just Putin then. Because Putin and Medvedev have been handing off the presidency of Russia for the last 20 years.
This novel begins at the Admiral Benbow Inn, where a blind beggar named Pew delivers a black spot to Billy Bone.
Oh. The Black Spot. I believe that's the first chapter of Treasure Island is titled The Black Spot.
This quantity is usually measured with a sphygmomanometer and is typically
Take that, sphygmomanometer. I've never heard anybody pronounce that with confidence. Sphygmomanometer. Even the reader, I don't think got through it clean. But yeah, that's the blood pressure cuff.
This world leader launched the PEPFAR program to fight AIDS.
PEPFAR.
This president began Operation Enduring Freedom, during which troops fought at Tora Bora. He used the term axis of evil.
So does Bush. They didn't. I probably could have just got away with Bush there because they didn't. They weren't asking for anything specific, or they weren't pre-prompting. But just to be safe, we'll say George W.
This service was popularized worldwide after merging with Musical.ly in 2018.
Oh, it's Musical.ly.
In July 2020, Mike Pompeo announced that the U.S. was considering banning this byte.
I think it's TikTok. Yeah. Musical.ly and TikTok fused together. All right, that's it for me going through some middle school questions and missing more of them than I should have. But with the time frame, sometimes you just get a little excited, buzz early, or you just forget. Can't access the things that you used to remember real easy, like Judy Blume. Anyway, that's it for this week. If you want to give this format a try yourself, you can head over to naqt.com/buzzword to check it out. Thanks for watching.